Hello, this is Fam Like a Ghost. I have the muted on. Hey guys.
Hey, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. So it's great to have you guys on again.
Yeah, thanks for having us back.
Yeah, I see you guys have released well, I've seen like 3 singles for this year. And your latest track is Nothing Good Lasts Forever, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, feat Demi the Daredevil.
And so the other 2 were Fishing in Concrete and Jigsaw, right?
Just Fishing in Concrete, because Jigsaw was released just as like a standalone single like earlier this year. But
yeah,
so just Fishing in Concrete.
Yeah, I was just talking about 2020.
Nothing Good Lasts Forever. Yeah.
So it's last time we talked about Ripped Jeans and Snake Bites, I believe, your full album.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys want to talk about like what's been going on since the last time we talked?
So we've done a few singles, and we've been trying to improve how we record, like doing more layering, and what are we else doing? EQing.
Just looking at YouTube videos really, and just how to improve our sound.
I think you're still doing it primarily from home.
Yeah, we're doing it all from home, and I think it's not really me, but Jack's songwriting has also like improved as well. So kind of like taking more inspirations, not just from like pop punk, but also from some like kind of metal inspirations even.
Yeah, metal and more alternative rock rather than just pop punk. Yeah.
So like the last time we talked, we had talked about Green Day was a big inspiration. So now when you're talking about more like in metal, who are the bands that you're inspired by in metal?
Well, more like alternative metal, like System of a Down and Avenged Sevenfold and bands like that.
Oh, that's cool.
And Bring Me the Horizon.
Bring Me the Horizon, yeah.
Yeah, big one.
Yeah, well, back in 2018, you were at that point you were kind of still, in that zone, and now you've every year you get, as a musician, every year you get better if you keep on playing. Yeah, if you don't stop. And you guys didn't stop. I see you kept on going. So, So one of the things I've been talking to a lot of bands, they had some issues because they used to go to the recording studio and then they can't go. But you guys don't have that issue because you record from home. But in terms of like what's going on with COVID, like in the U.S., we're having a lot of trouble. So I've seen like in London, you guys are having like similar trouble. How hard has it been to be a musician, right now?
Well, it's not too bad like recording wise, but playing live, there's like no opportunities at all really. And it's too unpredictable to get a gig, and when there are gigs, everyone wants to go at the same time, so there's not really any space left.
Yeah.
And the fans as well, I'm not sure if they'd really want to go to a gig during COVID.
I know you guys had always done like YouTube videos, and you've got some really good videos. So you guys were in a good place to keep on doing that. So have you continued to focus on your 2020 singles with videos to go with them?
Yeah, I think because just like America, well, not like America, but in the UK we got locked down for quite a while, quite a few months, like early summer, and I think that because since we do all our recording from home, that gave us the opportunity to, go forward with this album and get it done quite quickly. So for us, it was quite productive actually. But
yeah.
But have you guys created like YouTube videos for the 2020 singles?
Oh yeah, we have. We made one for Fishing in Concrete.
Nothing Good Lasts Forever was just a visual though, and we've got one coming up for Another Way Under the Sun, which is coming out at the same time as the album.
Yeah, we've got one of my friends making a visual for that, so it takes the pressure off.
In the new album, what's the title for the new album?
Your Nightfires Lie Part 1. Oh no, Chapter 1, not Part 1.
What's the release date on that?
20th of November.
Next Friday.
next Friday.
Cool. How many tracks are on this record? How big is it?
So this is actually, well, we say it's an album, but it's kind of like a long EP, kind of mini album. So it's only 7 songs long.
And then we hope to do another part, so chapter 2
Oh,
maybe
so that's
next year.
why you've got chapter 1. And so have you got multiple chapters or just 2?
Oh, just 2 at the moment. I don't think we'll do any more.
Yeah, but I feel like we decided to like split it in half just so we can get music out quicker, and also so we can like bring more exposure to each song.
Yeah.
We didn't want to like spend all that time recording a whole album and then just throw it out all at once.
So are you guys going to continue to release singles from the EP? Or like once the EP comes out, you're not going to run any more singles from it?
There's just one more single that comes out at the same time as the album. And then for chapter 2, we'll release a few more singles leading up to that.
Yeah, it seems like the EP format and the single format is still like, you know, I'm kind of happy that at least the EP format is getting a little stronger in the market. I see more and more bands doing EPs and not just doing singles. And that, you know, because I'm a child of the 70s, I kind of grew up with albums. So anything that's more long play, I kind of like. But yeah, it's really encouraging to see, you know, that bands are feeling that they can release more than just singles. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's kind of what we were thinking as well, because we were like at the start of the year we were just planning to release singles, but then like you, we quite like listening to an album like start to finish. So this is kind of a compromise in a way, because the idea is we want people to listen to this EP like start to finish, just like you would, you know, a big album. And yeah, I think it always works better that way.
Yeah, songs feel better when they're in a collection rather than isolated tracks.
Yeah,
so then they've got a similar theme and they link into each other and things like that.
Yeah, it's just like I've always enjoyed that. I mean, I grew up with vinyl, so vinyl, like I think I told you before, is like when you grew up with vinyl, you didn't really skip around. I mean, you could, but typically, if you put on Led Zeppelin 4, you're going to listen to the whole thing. If you put on Pink Floyd, you were going to listen to the whole thing. You didn't skip around. The vinyl format kind of encouraged that, and so growing up that way, I've always liked to listen to people, you know, not just skipping around on a playlist. Not that, you know, because everybody has an iPhone or has a smartphone that people are, you know, just doing playlists. But I think for musicians, like especially for bands, like then you end up being like a one-hit wonder, you know, because it's like how many times are you going to hit a playlist? And so it's like you got to try to kind of build a market or build a fan base that'll be into you. And the only way they can really understand you is if you give them more songs, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
Unless you just want to live off of one song. But just it's kind of not, I don't think any band really wants to live off the one song.
No.
You know, even if they do well on it, then it's mind numbing if everybody just wants to hear that one song.
Yeah. Especially if you don't like it.
Yeah, what tends to be like once you get that song, most of the bands, they really end up hating the song that made them famous.
Yeah, that's true.
Because it's like, oh man, I wanted somebody to go into my deeper tracks, but they keep on asking me for, you know, I got to keep on doing, you know, the typical, you know, American playlist is I'm gonna go do something from Leonard Skinner, you know, Free Bird. Everybody starts yelling Free Bird, or they yell like Stairway to Heaven, or they yell, you know, Hotel California, and then you're like, okay, that's all you want to hear.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of limiting. But it's cool that you guys are branching out into metal or like modern metal, because it's like, you know, a lot of the bands, you know, at least like Green Day, they've even kind of evolved in some of the stuff they're looking at. You know, they're doing some R&B and soul, integrating that into their mix now. So what are you guys like thinking about in terms of like beyond doing videos? Have you thought of any way online besides, you know, like live streaming is in in the UK to get on to like live streaming concerts?
Yeah, we have thought about that. I mean, I think a few months ago we did just a live stream on Instagram, but yeah, I think there are quite a few promoters in the UK who are doing that, so that's an option. And I think I mean, it's not really playing live music, but this coming Thursday, I think we are going to do another Instagram live stream, just listening to the EP start to
Oh,
finish.
cool.
But,
Or you
yeah,
can do like an album release Instagram.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
Yeah,
day before it's out.
yeah,
That's
just the night
cool.
before. So
That's
that should be good.
yeah, because I mean, one of the things I in the U.S. we've got some bands that some television studios or like TV studios are opening up like sound stages and allowing bands to do a performance. There was this like band from Denver, Colorado called Tennis, and they actually got like a TV studio that let them go on a sound stage, and they actually did like an hour and a half concert with like nobody there but the cameraman and the soundman, right? And they just live streamed the concert, but they were on like a real stage with lighting and LEDs and everything. But everybody paid like $15 a ticket, and it did really well. And more and more bands are trying to in the States are trying to get into that kind of setup where they can go to a stage and actually, but there's nobody there, but
Yeah.
but the film crew, and do a live performance. And I don't know if the BBC or if anybody's figuring that out in London to like give bands a way to do that.
Yeah, I think there have been like a couple of bands, well, quite a few bands doing actually, but like independently. But yeah, I mean, it seems so awkward though, because not
Yeah,
having an
no
audience
crowd.
there, just like you finish a song and then there's no cheering and then it's kind of just an awkward silence at the end. But
Yeah, it was
yeah,
weird. They I guess the way they rehearsed this band from Denver, they rehearsed it so they had their whole set and they just kind of went from song to song, and
all right,
they just because I think they kind of felt like, well, we got this vibe we rehearsed for like 2 months, so we're just gonna play it like we rehearsed it, you know.
yeah,
But I think like when you're a band like that, it was like a 5-piece band. I think they just got into each other, they just got into the vibe that they were just happy to be playing. Um, and I know that like a lot of bands, you have to kind of get that feedback from the actual audience, and that's what's been kind of hard about doing online is like even if you get on one of these live streaming you don't really see that any kind of audience feedback. So some bands are kind of dependent on that because they don't really feel like I don't feel any input from the crowd. So how do I know if I'm going over,
yeah.
So it's we're kind of in a bad situation for that kind of thing. So then it's like, okay, was it better to put all my effort into YouTube videos and try to get it out that way than trying to do live? So have you thought that maybe you put more energy into YouTube?
Yeah, maybe. Because last year we started doing like I think we called it like acoustic sessions. We started a series where we just play acoustic versions of our songs like live, but not live at the same time. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
and like covers.
and
of
covers
other
as well.
songs.
So we might do that with our new songs as well. Maybe.
Yeah, does that feel better? Like when you do like a unplugged version, do you kind of get more into it? Because at least it's a little different than what you actually put on the record.
Yeah, yeah. So that's hopefully something we can look forward to doing as well, just to keep people engaged.
I've seen even some bands do kind of try to figure out if they can get like a question and answer session with their diehard fans and actually go back and forth having like a chat, like actually doing like a Zoom.
Yeah.
and then actually having all their fans come on and then having some kind of moderator and having people ask them questions. Some bands is like, I don't know how many questions I could answer, you know. So if you're a relatively new band or you're not, comfortable with that, some bands maybe like a guy like Bono, he has tons to say, so he comes out with his fans, he's going to probably talk more than they do. But yeah, have you ever thought that would work, or kind of given the way you guys are, that wouldn't really work? What do you think?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't know if we do a Zoom call, but I think, like I said, with the Instagram live stream, like celebrating the release of the EP, we can probably turn it into a kind of Q&A thing, and people can ask questions as they wish as we go along, like listening to the EP.
Yeah, Instagram allows you to kind of do that interaction, and I think YouTube, and that you can actually bring people in if you want to. So there's ability to bring people in. I haven't seen a lot of bands take advantage of that because I don't know if they want to deal with the randomness of some fan coming in and taking over the whole thing and saying going off script. It's like, what are kind of going off kilter here? Like, no, I don't want that. But yeah, it's just interesting, like all the things we have to figure out when we can't do the shows, because I think we've talked about it before, like streaming, you don't really get a lot of money. Most people don't actually buy the records, they just stream it. But if you've been successful, like trying to get merch done, like doing a website and selling t-shirts, or have you been able to do anything like that?
We haven't really done any merch yet. Well, we did merch a couple of years ago, and we just gave it away in competitions.
It wasn't very good. No. Nobody really wanted it, but yeah, it's quite expensive as well. If you don't sell it, then depending on like who your supplier is, can be quite expensive.
Yeah, I mean, I've been working with some on-demand t-shirt companies, making it a little bit easier. So like, you don't actually have to pay anything up front, and people just go and get it when they want it. Okay. So those kind of setups are kind of cool if you can get people to get into it. And then the other thing I found is like people will buy my vinyl more than they'll buy a CD. So if I actually put something on vinyl and I only run like 100 copies, I can sell all 100 vinyls. But if I did like 1,000 CDs, I won't sell. I'll sell like 200, and I'll have 800 sitting around. So it's better. It seems like the vinyl actually works way better, and you can actually charge more for the vinyl.
Yeah,
people are willing in the U.S. They're willing to pay like $25-$30 for one vinyl.
Yeah, I think it's the same in the UK as well. Yeah, it's weird how it's got more expensive as well. It used to be,
and people actually buy it. I mean, I'm surprised that people think it's worth something, especially if they only know there's 100 of them. They're more likely to buy it, than 1,000 CDs.
Yeah.
As I was like, oh, there's 1,000 of them, they won't buy it. I mean, it's just a way to engage your fans, to get them excited. And then, like, the cool thing about vinyl, what I like is that you can put artwork and liner notes. There's more you can do with it because it's a bigger package. So if you have an concept for your record, then you can have your full lyric book in there. You can have like a poster, pictures, or postcards, or stickers, and it then makes it more likely that your fan's going to buy it because there's more to it.
Yeah,
you know what
definitely.
I mean?
Put some merch inside as well. Well, with it.
Yeah, well, because if you can't go and do a tour, normally I rent like a U-Haul van to go to New York City, and I can't do that. And so I said, well, whatever money I was going to do to get to New York, I'll just put it into making some vinyl.
Yeah.
And it's just redirect where I was going to spend my money, and then it, still engage my fans in a different way. I've just been trying to figure out different ways to engage, and it seems to be working on that aspect. So, and I've been talking to some other bands, and they seem to be looking into that as well. Most of the bands I've talked to are more keen on doing vinyl than CD. When you talk to them, they say, yeah, that's something I might do.
Yeah. I don't know if we could do that though. I don't know if there'd be enough demand really. So
yeah, because quite a few of our fans are kind of quite young, so
they don't have. So in England, you guys aren't as enamored with vinyl as they are in the States.
We kind of are, but I don't know. I think like our generation are mainly just on streaming platforms.
Yeah. Everybody likes their phone, and then it's a different type of fan that's willing to kind of disconnect and sit in the basement and listen to their vinyl.
Yeah.
I mean, we're quite weird because we listen to Spotify, and we still buy CDs as well if the album's good enough. Mm-hmm. But I think we're quite rare. Most people our age kind of just stream it. But yeah, I don't know.
The only thing I could think of is like in the U.S. we're getting into like another lockdown situation because it's gotten out of control with the COVID. So that potentially is an opportunity because then you're more likely, okay, maybe I'll turn my CD player back on, or maybe I'll go pull my vinyl out because I'm not actually out. So if I'm outside, I'm going to be using my cell phone, but if I'm at home, I could probably listen to my hi-fi stereo. So maybe I'll be more willing to do that. So in this next couple of months, there's a potential opportunity to take advantage of the problem.
Yeah.
Because people won't be out. They're kind of stuck at home again. At least in the States, we're getting locked down again.
Yeah, we're locked down at the moment right now till about December time.
So that's really...
Yeah. And with the holidays coming, I was like, oh, I can get people ideas on what they could buy.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's just interesting, the different strategies, because we kind of, with the model for musicians, we're kind of in a bad place because the record companies don't really give us, or even the distributors don't really pay us that well. And most of the way musicians make money is usually from touring or from merch, or from, licensing their song for something. So that's kind of, I don't know if this whole situation is going to make companies like redress how we get paid, in terms of, because a lot of it seems to be not where it was 20 years ago.
Yeah. I hope so.
Yeah, it just seems like, that people value, not that I'm not a gamer, but a kid is more willing to spend $60 on an Xbox game or a PS5 game than even $5 on an EP.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So it's like, so then, like, being an electronic musician, I've looked into like, well, how do I get my music into that game?
Yeah.
So how can I get my agency or my publisher company? He said, don't just look at TV shows, go look at the video game companies and see if they're looking for background music. Because if they're looking for background music and they want like 2 minutes or 3 minutes of some kind of synth thing, I'm a synth player, so I could write all kinds of synth background stuff. So I've got pitches out to do stuff like that. And you might not ever see that the Ghost did it, but it'll bring in, income. The band that you guys are, maybe that's not as easy to do because I can kind of do soundtracks and stuff, but have you guys thought of licensing your music in that kind of way?
We've actually got a side project at the moment where we're creating like soundtracks and things like that. So it's not really it's not really rock, it's more cinematic and ambient and like that.
So you are.
Yeah, cool. But we haven't really got it in any proper video games or movies. It's more like people want it for a YouTube video or something like that. But
well, you start where you start. You never know if some independent filmmaker suddenly likes what you got. Now, I actually pitched toward like film students who are doing like really small films, and you can get these directors to take your work because they're looking for it. They're looking to fill the space in their movies with sound, and they're more willing to work with like unheard of or lower tier artists because they're just starting too. And then if you can get in their project and suddenly they get to the next tier, then they'll continue to work with you.
Yeah.
So it's cool. Yeah, some people say, well, that's just an independent film. But if you start with a guy who's an independent filmmaker, Quentin Tarantino was an indie film guy. Spike Lee was an indie film guy. When he first started, nobody knew who he was. Yeah. So it's sometimes it's cool to start with those guys. It's the same kind of situation as an indie musician. You start with the indie filmmaker, you can get on the ground floor with him, and then as he moves up, you can move up with him.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, it's always cool. I mean, I actually, cool thing about the Instagram platform, it has actors, they're models, they're filmmakers, and I've kind of been able to pitch to models. I've actually had models come on the show that really is like, what's that got to do with music? But music and models are in music videos.
Yeah.
So I was able to kind of pitch like, why would you want to come on the show? Oh well, they want to pitch whatever they're doing. So it's just a creative kind of zone. It's like Instagram's great for that because there's so many different creative people that you can kind of intersect with people maybe you wouldn't think that you would talk to them, but then suddenly you end up talking to them. Man, I talked to a foodie, a guy who does like YouTube, cooking videos, and then suddenly I end up getting more foodies on, and then I come to find out that the foodie audience is pretty big, and so then suddenly they intersect, and then one of them wanted like some background music for their foodie show, and then boom, I was doing that. So you never know what kind of connections you can make. I would always suggest as creative people, you should always be open to like as much as you can.
Definitely.
So what do you guys like planning into next year? Is really part 2 of the EP series is the main going into 2021 is like the end of this year is part 1 and then part 2 is for 2021. That's your long-term plan.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, we've only just started recording chapter 2. We're quite behind on it. But yeah, so we'll just record that, hopefully release it next year if all goes to plan. And also if all goes well with COVID and everything, hopefully play some socially distanced shows.
So do you have anybody like trying to set you up for summer 2021?
Yeah,
shows?
Our local venue, the Horn, in St Albans, they are putting on socially distanced shows when we're not in lockdown. So yeah, we haven't got anything booked at the moment because we're not really sure what's going on. But yeah, hopefully maybe Easter time even, if everything goes to plan. But yeah, that's all we've got planned really.
So maybe we're going to dive into another question. You guys said you started like getting better at recording. So what I know we had talked about what kind of DAW you used before. Did you change the type of DAW you used, or you just got better using this DAW that you were already using?
We're still just using pretty much all the same equipment. Using just a standard board. A lot of the stuff we use is just like built into Logic itself, and we just play around with that stuff. But
I don't think we had the MIDI keyboard last time.
do we not?
No.
I've got one now. But yeah.
So you've just gotten better at production because you've been doing it longer. So you've learned some techniques from like YouTube and stuff.
I mean, it's still not great. Especially my mastering is terrible. I probably should have sent it off, but I think it's still, in general, the quality should sound slightly better than our previous releases. But yeah, we'll see what people think. I don't know.
Yeah, and I feel like we've got better.
Yeah.
A bit better vocal.
Yeah, I've been investing in like more sound processing equipment. since I can't tour, it's like, okay, well, maybe I'll buy a Rupert Neve processing board to put on my rack.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's an investment. Like because it costs so much to master. If I can over time buy better, recording equipment, like the Neve kind of is like Rupert Neve. His stuff is like golden. So if I can get like even a little piece of what that stuff is. I mean, his stuff can cost like $50,000. It's not something you normally can get,
Wow.
but he's got smaller bits that can do the job. And if you just research it, it's like, okay, well, no, if I spend like $4 or $5 grand, which is not 50 grand, but maybe I can afford to have a higher quality mastering than I could ever have done before, and then I can control it more. And I'm kind of a control freak, being like a producer kind of guy, but I tend to like to run a lot of my own mix because I kind of know what I want, and if I have the equipment to do it, then I'll do it. But there's some stuff I will send out to an engineer. It's like, okay, fine, I'll give it to an engineer because like I don't want to spend time on it. But there's other things where I really want it to be a certain way, and then other people, when I give it to them, they don't do what I want. So then I'm gonna take it back.
Yeah, I think that's the same with us as well. I think that the huge benefit of recording at home is you get all that time. You're not paying for studio space as well, or an engineer
Yeah, and
to
then
get
sometimes,
take time.
sometimes you don't get a guy that's on the same page, right? So, like, okay, he makes it sound good, but then what he chose to emphasize is not what I would have chosen to do.
Yeah,
I mean, sometimes the guy it surprises you and he does it way better than you ever anticipated. It's like, fine, that's a good guy, right? And then other guys like, why did he do that? And they're like, okay, well, I don't like it, so I'm taking it back. But yeah, it's kind of like the more control. Some people want that level of control in their music, and other people are like more willing to give it to somebody else. It kind of like it depends on where you are in your career, I guess.
yeah,
And what you can afford to is always a factor.
Yeah, there's that as well.
But so you guys, I'm glad to see you guys are still out here. But we talked to you back in 2018. We're still around, so it's cool. We've been connecting with everybody we've ever talked to, and all kinds of new people. We hit about 28,000 listeners now on our platform, and actually Anchor is part of Spotify now, which is pretty cool. So we're just getting bigger and bigger reach. We're going into next year, we're going to hit probably 40, 50,000 listeners worldwide. So we're getting psyched that, we just keep on building.
Yeah.
Is that we're hoping to eventually get to like 100,000 or more listeners is our, long-term plan, and to get bigger audiences. We are branching into video podcasting. But we've had some bandwidth issues because of the lockdown where too many people are home. And when we try to do a video podcast, it doesn't come out good. But we're hoping to start that again once all this straightens out. So if you guys ever want to do the video podcast, we might maybe bring you on that.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you guys for being on. We're going to push your record as soon as it comes out. We'll be pushing it on our channel. We're going to push your current singles on this episode. And like always, when we put it up on Instagram, we'll highlight to the Spotify version of the podcast. So as soon as we put it up, we'll have a story on our Instagram, and you can link to it and do whatever you want. We'll send you the top links as always.
Thank you. Thanks for having us again.
And no problem. We'll always have you on. When your new record comes out, we will push it on the channel. So we'll get that link as soon as we see it, and we'll just attach it to this episode.
Great. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Stay safe out there.
And you.
You too. Thank you.
Yeah, bye.